Hey guys, I have Keith again tonight. I think the last time we talked to him, he was about 5 months sober, and now he just hit 9 months sober, and he's come so far with business and just himself in general. So, Keith, can you give us a little update on everything that's
How you
been
doing
happening?
today? Good to see you.
You too.
Yeah, so today officially, ironically, we did not plan this, but today is exactly 9 months to the date that I have not had a drink. And it's been a pretty amazing situation, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot that's changed. We were briefly having a conversation when we were getting started on this. One of the biggest things that's changed so far for me has been my career. I was kind of like slogging around, not knowing really where I was going with my life in terms of what I was doing. I'm not saying that it was all like unsuccessful or anything, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do, and I was very unhappy with what I was doing.
Yeah.
And essentially, what's happened is I've chosen the career that I kind of was always avoiding, which was I'm a photographer, and accepting that reality and just like leaning into that all the way. And since I've been doing that, it's been opening like these tremendous doors that I didn't even know were possible. And I've had these opportunities to do photo shoots and different things with people that I didn't even think that I could have, that I didn't know that I was as good at my craft as I thought that I was. I thought that I was a lot less than, but I have had the opportunity for some like major people to kind of look at my work.
You
And
did a boxer, didn't you?
I it
Or
wasn't a
a
boxer.
fighter.
I did no, we did that as a photo shoot. That was a theme that we were doing for the photo shoot
Oh,
of
okay.
someone that I was shooting. Yes. So, who I was shooting was an NCAA athlete, is what you saw that I was
Oh,
shooting.
got it. Okay.
Yep. And then it's kind of led to I've been shooting NASCAR. I've shot NASCAR 4 times this year. I've had the opportunity to. It's opening more doors back into a world that I used to shoot in a long time ago, which is into the music industry. And it's
Hmm.
kind of reopening me being able to work with brands and do things like that again, like that I really enjoyed doing. I kind of did it kind of off to the side while I was doing other stuff. And if I would have just faced this all along, I would have had exactly what I wanted in this life. So that's the path that I'm going now. I'm not looking back in any other direction.
Yeah. I like a lot of people I've heard say like just imagine like I mean, we don't want to dwell in the past, but like where you could have been 10 years ago hadn't it been for alcohol.
I think it would. I wish I would have known when I knew today 20 years
Exactly.
ago, like when I started that. Let's just say that to you.
Yeah.
I chose photography about 23 years ago, but I never kind of like went all in on it, if you will. And if I would have chosen and felt like this doing it, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine where that would be right now.
Right?
But I think that it's a great career because it's not limited to your age. It's not an age like limitation by any means because I'm behind the camera. I'm not someone, I am in front of
Yeah.
the camera for social media, but I'm not for what I do for a living. So I
Mhm.
don't think age, if you want an example, let's look at someone like Clint Eastwood. The guy's 90 years old and he's still making films. So it's
Right?
you can there's a long way to go if I stick to this.
Exactly. Age doesn't have a number. I think it's just like people like to put a number on it, but it just depends on how you feel. Like I've heard so many people say, "Well, I'm this age," and I'm like, "You still have a whole life ahead of you."
Oh, I know. I
Like,
always laugh at people saying that I'm 30 and I can't do anything. That's the one that always makes me laugh. I'm like, I'm 30, you're 30. I started over at 30. Like
oh
it's
my
just a
God.
number. It doesn't really matter. And you can
And
and a lot happens in a very short period of time. I think you know that.
yeah.
Like you can, in one year you can totally transform and turn around your life if you choose yourself and you quit choosing the things that are destroying you.
Yeah, because you've also changed your physical like self also tremendously since
I
quitting.
I cannot even stress the difference of where I am from that point of view. Even from the last time that I spoke with you back when I was at the 5 month period. The 5 month period, I had already started. If you remember me telling you this, I had already started on a healthier path with
Yeah.
diet and food and exercise before I had even stopped drinking. But when I stopped drinking is when it really kicked in. So now that I've made the 9 month pattern, I've got into the 9 month time frame where we're at now. I have muscle mass back. I'm in really good shape. I've
Nice.
maintained still a loss of like 54 pounds. I haven't been in this kind of physical cardiovascular shape since I was about 31 years old. And what I've been
Wow.
able to do as well. I mean, it's crazy. I don't even breathe when I'm going up hills anymore. I'm just like, oh, okay, that was good.
Funny how nutrition really plays a big part in our weight
Oh
loss
yes.
journeys.
I
And like we're
think
saying,
it's
drinking.
funny. I think it's funny that it's also sleep as well. I think
Yeah.
that I think things really do boil down to your nutrition, your sleep, and your mental habits. I think that those three things, coalescing together make for a really good life. I think that those are the disciplines that change everything, and I don't
Yeah.
think people really realize that.
Here's a good one for sleep. I did good on Friday. I drank my water. We went to the water park. I lost my phone to the water. I mean, I had my phone, but the water destroyed my phone. So I was like stressed, and I didn't because that's my work. Like my phone is like my work,
Totally.
and I was like, so I was so stressed all night, and I woke up and I stood on the scale and I was like 4 pounds up, and I was like, I didn't do anything wrong yesterday.
Oh
Why am I four
no.
pounds up? But I was like, I didn't sleep at all last night.
So,
So
so it's probably just retention of some water weight from salt
yeah,
and things like that's nothing. Like that, 4 pounds is nothing. If it's 5 and 6
yeah.
pounds up,
But
that's
it
not a
like
big.
it just goes to show that sleep is super important because then the next night I got a little bit more sleep and I woke up and I was like down 3 of those pounds. So it's like sleep is so important for like so many things. And when you
I
quit
think,
drinking,
yeah, I don't know that a time that I've ever slept like this in my entire life that I can remember, if I'm going to say it that way. I can't even gauge back to when this has been because I mean, I was drinking from the time I was 14 years old, right?
yeah,
So I
yeah,
can't really define where I've never had sleep like this. Let's just say that. It just continues to get better.
hmm,
I sleep an average of 7.5 to 8 hours every single night, like
yeah,
without fail. It's easy. I don't wake up in the middle of the night. I wake up a full sleep for 8 hours.
yeah,
And
that's
I
good.
wake up and I'm ready to go. Like the second I get up, feet hit the floor, it's time to go work out. And I start with a cup of coffee and I go exercise. That's how I start the day.
You're not stumbling for the water or the handyman
No, not at
care
all.
or
Not at
tossing
all.
and
It's
turning because you feel
crazy.
like crap. Oh my gosh. And
I
you're not
don't
staying up
miss.
late.
No, not at all. I don't even stay up that late anymore. I do stay up late once in a while if I'm working and I'm working on something I'm editing or doing something like that, and I don't mind doing that. I'm more
Yeah.
relaxed doing it, and I just kind of adjust accordingly. But I haven't slept like this in ever. I'm telling you, I don't have any words for it. It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah. Um, so you give me some tools that you use to quit drinking.
I think some of the tools that I used to quit drinking. Are you talking about when I first started? Are we going down that path?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
At first I replaced it with drinking a lot of soda water and a lot of mineral water and things like that. Something that felt bubbly, so it felt good in my stomach because I did enjoy drinking beer.
Hmm.
I would drink whiskey and other things too, but like I would always drink beer with that as well.
Yeah.
So as long as I kind of had that sensation, it kind of made me feel good. And I didn't want to drink soda or like Coke or Pepsi or something like that. So I was drinking like soda water and I would put some electrolytes in it to give it a little flavor or something like that. So I'd create little mocktails out of it. And
Yeah.
I started there. That's how I started. I would drink those all weekend long. And it was ironic. I was drinking electrolytes, getting vitamins. So I felt great every day I was waking up. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I know this is a weird thing. I think everybody's got their own journey on this. So I can't speak for, I don't know how I could teach someone to go down this path the way that I'm about to say this, but I think we're all different. I think when I
Hmm.
made the decision to do this, I unequivocally made it and there was no looking back. I am really good at doing that with things.
Same.
So I committed to it and I like that was it for me. I was never gonna look back. Like
Hmm.
or I won't ever look back. Let's not use the never one.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely not I there was a comment today on on the channel and it was pretty much it came down to like it's not a one size fits all. Like everybody has to do their own path, but like me and you, like I made my mind up and that was it. Like I didn't want to go back to alcohol ever again.
I know that everybody has a different kind of path, like you were saying. I think it is, harder for others and sometimes it's
Hmm.
easier for others. I'm not saying it was easy, so I'm not gonna sit here and claim that, oh, this was an easy thing to do because it really wasn't. I didn't think I finally went out when I got to month 7 for the first time I went to a bar. That's the first time I've been back out to like a club and bar and stuff like that. And I had the best time I've ever had going out in my entire life being sober and drinking soda water with lime the entire time.
Yeah. That was me when I went out. I think it was May. I went out with a girlfriend and we went downtown and we went to like three different bar areas and we just drank off the mocktail list. And it was like, this was amazing. Like, it was the best night ever.
I'm telling you, I had so much fun. I had the best time in terms of I had the best time in terms of being out. I didn't, I don't know, the music was good. Being around people was good. I didn't care
Mhm.
that other people were drinking. That didn't have any kind of effect on me whatsoever.
Well,
And
because
I,
they're not in your bubble, like you can leave.
yeah, but then I went home and I'm driving home and I'm like, oh, I'm driving sober. There's one. Not,
Yes.
I didn't really, I wasn't a big drinking, I wasn't a big drunk driver. So I'm going to be very clear to that. I always took Uber and did things like that. I was always responsible with that. But it was cool because I was leaving a bar and I was actually driving. That's why I'm saying that. I was like, I'm driving from leaving a club. This is so
Yeah.
cool. And
Yeah.
then you get home and you go to sleep and you wake up the next day early in the morning and you're like, oh my God, it's Saturday and I feel awesome. What are we doing today?
Right? Oh my gosh, you're not like laying on the couch all day long, like just binging Netflix or if you have Netflix still.
I
But
actually don't. I actually got rid of every single one of my streaming services and I don't watch television anymore. That's another thing that's happened through all of this as well. I don't
oh,
waste any of my time anymore with things unless I'm doing something to move forward.
that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I've contemplated getting rid of my social media apps, but I mean, not YouTube, just the other ones.
Though I mean, I'm keeping my social media stuff because it's a part of what I'm doing, and it's going to
Yeah.
be an ongoing process with my photography stuff and putting stuff out there. But I don't really spend a lot of time on social media. I'm more of a content creator, not content like consumer. So that's kind of the way
Right.
that I see it. It's different, and I'm serious. I can't get over how much time I've gained back. At first, I had so much extra time, I really didn't even know what to do with myself. That's
Yeah.
that's where this began. So it was really bizarre at first. But I got rid of Netflix, Hulu, and I had one more like Paramount or something like that. But I got
Mhm.
rid of all of them. I don't have anything. I have no streaming services anymore.
Good for you. It is such a time waster. And I mean, I personally don't get to sit with the remote in my hand at my house. The kids or my husband get to. So, hmm.
It's been interesting because I came to the realization of how many things that I think the rabbit hole, if you will, goes so deep as to
Yeah.
how alcohol affects you in addiction that you don't really
Yeah.
realize how many things you're using to cope with and using to avoid your life.
I have to, I've been meaning to bring this up. I have to admit that, like, I feel like my social media scrolling has gotten worse since I quit drinking
That's interesting.
because I feel like I'm like constantly having to, like, just feed my mind with something. I don't know. And obviously, social media is the best place to feed your mind. So it's something
That's
I'm
really
like
funny.
mindlessly doing, and I catch myself. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? I need to just like put my phone down and like walk away from it. And the days that I like don't get on my phone as much, I'm way more productive.
We'll try to take a little break so that I can tell you something that we've been doing on the weekends. Like if I go hiking on a Saturday or Sunday, I leave my
Yeah,
phone at home. Like
that's a good
yesterday, I
idea.
went I went hiking for like 4 hours and the phone stayed in the charger. I didn't even take it with me.
Hmm. I
And
just feel
I and
like,
I've been doing that more and more and more. I've been leaving the phone behind. It doesn't. I'm getting back to something that I missed in the past. Like there was a time, we were young enough to realize there was a time that existed when we didn't have phones, right?
right? Good
Or
thing they
like
didn't have phones back then.
yeah, we didn't have phones when we were growing up, right? So I've had a moment of not having that, and so keeping it away from me a little bit here and there has been like it's been really good. It's been more connection time, and I've had much
Yeah.
better connection time with my wife as well because of that. I think that's been a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, and when you quit drinking, you actually become more present. And then now you're like detaching yourself from these other things too. So that's even more amazing.
It's just there's been a lot of benefits. There's been a lot of tremendous benefits. I cannot say that by any means. There's definitely been some down stuff to it as well. So that's the other side of it. There is kind of a shadow like part to it, if you will, as well.
Yes, it's not all rainbows and sunshine, that's for sure. You have to feel your emotions. You have to go through the struggles. You have to, what we talked a few weeks ago about a lot of things, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, it's like going so amazing," and then the next week it just like literally flipped. And so I'm like, I told you right around that like
You literally told me that was going to happen and it happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm like,
oh
it has definitely been one of those things where I, the dark side of it is, and I don't call it a dark side. I just think it's a necessary part of the entire process. Let's just call it that.
hmm,
Part of it is that you're going to have to face yourself and the things that you have to look. and do work on within yourself because you haven't noticed those things because you've been distracting yourself from them. For
Yep.
me, that was getting back into really good health again. My health was so deteriorated that I was on the I was in the process of dying. I'm just going to keep saying that to you. I mean, I showed you those pictures last time,
Yeah.
and I was I was one step away from 5 years away probably from not existing anymore if I kept down the current path I was
Oh,
on.
yeah, because you had high cholesterol and diabetes, right?
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. Now I have like normal nominal cholesterol and I there's no type 2 diabetes. That's been gone now
But
for a
wait, the
while.
carnivore diet is supposed to raise your cholesterol, right?
That's what they say, but it didn't do that for
Just
me.
right. Didn't
That's
do it for
just
Jonathan
wanted to
either.
point that out to you too.
Right. Exactly.
I,
Yeah.
I'm going with the fact now that everything that we've ever been told, I'm trying to do the opposite of it and kind of see what happens that way. I'm testing a theory. Like and
Hey,
and that's been an experiment that I've been doing and it continuously keeps working. Let's just say
funny. Funny. So you quit drinking to go against society, and look, you've had some amazing success.
that. I think it's really bizarre. I think that we live in a world that wants to keep people down. It wants to keep
Hmm.
people distracted. It wants to keep people unhealthy and it wants to keep them addicted. And if someone doesn't believe that, all you have to do is look at what's on every corner, like in most places around the United States. It's
Yeah.
liquor stores, vape stores, places to distract yourself with awful, horrible food. It's
Yep.
it's not it's not a place that seemingly is pushing an agenda of positiveness or wanting people to be healthy. None of it makes sense right
Yeah. I worked with a chick that grew up in Thailand, and she would tell me that there was fresh food carts all over the place. And I was like, "What? That's a thing?" But here we
now. Yeah,
have a McDonald's on every corner.
no, 100%. Like look at what's on every corner here. It's Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's. It's like all these different, unhealthy fast food places and but it's liquor stores like I said depending on different areas
Hmm.
that you go to too. You see that or it's bars or it's like there's nothing. Think about how many things are connected to drinking in the United States. I think
Yep.
that's the big one that I did not realize until I wasn't drinking anymore. And I'm like, wow. Like good God, 90% of every single thing in the United States is connected to drinking.
It is. And we went to dinner to a nice place the other night before we went and saw Trey Kennedy, if any of you guys know him. But they actually offered us sparkling water or like distilled water. And I was like, wow, that's nice. And they didn't even bug us about drinks. So that was like the first time that we hadn't been bugged about like, well, have you decided what you want to drink yet? We just said, no, we're good. And they took the menu and kept coming and filling up our waters.
I had one bad experience at a place, and it was interesting. It was in Nashville, and it was at the Spar. And I ordered a soda water and lime, and the bartender got pissed off because I didn't order alcohol.
Yeah.
So I looked at her. I said, "So you have a problem with the fact that I used to have a problem with drinking?" That's how I said it to her, and she went, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know." I'm like, "Then why'd you act that way? It makes no sense."
Right.
I
Oh.
think I think that that's I think just to tell you that's kind of a segue of something I do want to talk to you about. Like you and
Hmm.
I were talking about this, is that I definitively have more lines than I've ever had before, and self worth and boundaries. And that's
Yeah.
something that I've been learning how to get better in that and grow in that because that's something I don't think I really ever had in my life. And now that I'm doing it, it's creating an environment where here's another dark thing within the like I'm not drinking anymore part is that it's pushed away a lot of people that I used to hang out with
Hmm.
because there's no way I can really hang out with them anymore because they're not really working on themselves and they're not really growing and they're not adapting and they're not going somewhere. They're kind of remaining the same. And I think that that's something I'm starting to really notice about most people in the United States. That's another thing that's kind of bizarre in our country
Yeah.
that I never noticed before.
No, I completely agree. I had a friend the other day, I was talking to her, and we were talking about like, we have some of the same things. And she was like, boundaries, like, I've had to learn that they're for me. That way I can, like, l- learn to love them better. Or, like, something like that. And it just, like, made me think about it. It's like, it's not necessarily for, like, those people. It's, the boundaries are for us. So we can better ourselves. So, like, we can love them the way, like, we, we can, I guess, in a way.
I would agree with what you just said. I think that that's probably I think that's the positive reason as to why we're doing that, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that that's how most people take it. So that's
Right.
more of a way to put it. I think most people think that when you put up a boundary that you're somehow judging them or you're doing something that's against the way that they think. So it doesn't, so they immediately think that you're doing something to harm them. And
Yeah.
you're literally like, it has nothing to do with you. This is a boundary for myself. So I stay on this path and continue to do what I'm doing because it's working for me.
Yeah. And I think like that's the line that a lot of people don't necessarily like yeah, because they don't, if they're not doing better for themselves, and they don't want to see you doing better for themselves. So then it just creates this like, well, you don't like me, you judge me, you like, or you just, I don't know, it just creates more chaos.
That has been a big, huge, giant part of this entire thing that I've had to get used to and kind of like ease myself into while this has been going on is that that's how the majority of the people have felt around me
Hmm.
since I've been doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everyone because that's not true because I've actually surrounded myself with kind of a new friend group and a new group of
Yeah.
people who are actually successful and going somewhere and doing
Yeah.
the things that I want to do. And I'm very grateful for that. And it's just been one of those things where a lot of people are the other people that I was hanging out with, they can't handle that at all. Like I'm telling you, they can't handle the change that I've been making. They literally immediately think I'm judging them. And that's been a weird, like they literally like, why are you judging me that I'm like, I never said anything. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I can feel you there. Like, because when they only knew you as who you were,
Yes.
they want to be blind to who you want to become.
I was saying this to you before before we got started that I went into you had a different name for it, so we'll have to like use both the names on this to maybe help other people understand what it is. But I went into what I called monk mode, as I was is
Oh,
what I called it to you.
I said, oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I said
And what
self-isolation.
and you call it self isolation, which I agree, it's the same thing essentially. Okay.
Yeah.
And I went into that and kind of stayed in that state for about 6 to 7 months, and I isolated myself from everyone, like friends, family,
Yeah.
um, different other business associates, people like in general. I just stayed away from everyone. I didn't take any phone calls. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I really went all in on working on myself to make a change, though, and the change that I wanted to make. And then when I started kind of reintegrating back into hanging out with and talking to some of these people, they don't know me anymore.
Yeah.
They know a shadow kind of like echo version of who I used to be. So they think that's who I am, and I'm just like I'm not that person anymore. I don't even know who that is, and
Yeah.
they can't handle it. It's been quite an interesting thing to walk through. I think that's something I'd like to help people to give them advice for is like just accept that's probably going to be a reality that happens while you're walking through this, but it's good because you're choosing yourself and you need to choose yourself. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to, it's kind of showing you how much you allowed other people to dictate to you what was good and what was bad and what was right and wrong versus you doing that for yourself,
Yeah. I
if
mean,
that makes sense.
oh yeah, totally. Like, yeah, because we were talking about this, and my friend and I were discussing how like we've isolated ourselves from the world and don't really do anything because, well, when you come out of isolation, it's awkward. I mean, it's,
Yes,
uh,
it's very awkward. It's very weird. It's very strange. It's like you feel like you're the best way of saying is it's like you went into a cocoon, you know?
yeah,
I went into a
I like that
cocoon. I
one.
dealt with my reality. I uh, some people call it shadow work. Have you ever heard that before? That
Mm-mm.
term?
No.
That's something you should look up. It's like it's. You ever heard of Dark Night of the Soul? You ever heard of that before?
Mm-mm.
These are kind of terms and things that I kind of learned about while I was doing all this. You're kind of walking through the darkest parts and points of who you are and things that you've done and who you've been and where that took you while you were doing that, and forgiving yourself and walking through those things and knowing that it's going to be okay. And
Yeah.
but it's also like facing a mirror on yourself and like looking in that mirror and facing exactly who you are and not lying about it and being deeply honest. And that's been fun. I'm not it wasn't all fun. That's why I'm saying it that way.
Right.
That wasn't fun at all. But but
No.
but the residual of it has been really fun. I don't believe that I've ever really walked in truth like I am now, and I don't think I've ever been in a place where I know exactly who I am and what I will stand for and what I won't stand for and who I am.
Hmm.
That's a huge change.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part, I think. I mean, it's the most rewarding part, but it's also one of the hardest parts because you think that people
Yes.
like, I don't know. It's hard to be around. I don't know how to say that. It's just hard.
it's kind it's kind of like you think that everybody, because you're doing the right thing and you're making good decisions and doing, you're doing what you know is good to do. You think everybody's going to be like your cheerleader for it. They're all going to accept it and be like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome! I'm so excited for you." But in fact, it's quite the opposite.
Hmm.
And it's, I had said this to you before when I talked to you, like you were saying a couple of weeks ago. I think it's because so many people live in mediocrity and they accept that mediocrity versus what it takes to be successful and be strong. And success is not a monetary thing. Success is a choice. It's
Yeah.
what does that mean to you? Like it's an individual thing. Let's just say that success looks different for every person on this planet.
Yep.
But when you finally choose that path of success for yourself, you start surrounding yourself with other successful people in those genres of things that you do, other people feel like you're isolating them, and you don't fit with them anymore, because at the end of the day you really don't. It's an old version of you that was doing stuff to avoid being who you were. I kind of see it as that they're all, I think that it's a big group. I think when you drink, I think what you end up doing is most of the people you're hanging out with them because you're in a trauma bond with each other. That's the way that I've always seen it.
Trauma bond.
And so you're in
Yes.
this trauma bond together, and you're holding each other's like false reality together, because then it empowers that less than way of living. Like that's what you end up staying in, if that makes sense. And
Yep.
then, so the second you break that and you're shining a different mirror on their face, they don't want to see that mirror. They want to see the mirror of who you were and not the mirror of who you're becoming and what you are now. They want the old version that holds their fake reality because it makes their reality real to them. And when
Yeah.
you show something different, they immediately think you're judging them and you're saying that their life is less than, and you're not saying anything about anybody's life. You're just changing your own.
I'm judging my past self.
Oh, I'm totally judging my past self. I'd like to beat my past self's ass. I'm just gonna say it that way all the way. I really would.
I
Like I
mean,
don't.
really the only person that I judge is like myself and like what I could have done, what I like, why did I
Same,
have to be like that? And like,
same.
but now I'm here and like whatever.
I think you have to go from where you are. I don't. I think that's another message to everybody too. It doesn't really matter how old you are. I think but do you not want to experience what it feels like to be free inside at any age? Like it's amazing. It has nothing to do with your age. It really does not. And that's
No.
what people are missing. Yet if you could understand what this feels like, I've never felt this good in my entire life, of living ever. I've never felt like this. So
Yeah.
and it's something that gets better every single week, every day. Like I do it incrementally. I try to walk through life one day at a time now. I don't really look too far ahead, and I don't look at the past anymore. And I think
Like
that that's helped a lot.
I see some 50-year-olds that are in better shape than some 30-year-olds nowadays and I'm like age is not like you can't say that, oh, I'm almost 60 years old or I'm almost 70, but yet, like, you have to put the
No,
work in.
you have to put
Like,
the work in. It doesn't matter
yeah,
what age. Like, I see
yeah,
people. It's kind of cool since I've been exercising hardcore for a year now. I love seeing older people who are out exercising. Like they're kicking my butt still. You're like, oh my God, that
yeah,
guy's 75 years old. I can't even keep up with him. What is he doing?
right? Like, I
And
have a
you're
50-year-old cousin. I think he's 51 now. And he's like in probably better shape now than he was in his when he was in his 20s. And it's like because he wants to feel good.
I
He wants
I'm
to
saying
like,
that I'm saying that to you as well. Look, I'm 53 years old. Okay. I literally work out 5 days a week, and I can do 100 push-ups at one time now. I can do 30 pull-ups at one time. I can do all these things I couldn't do. I can climb hills like it's like nothing now. I don't even breathe when I do it. And
well, I
it's it's
still
cha-
breathe
it's
hard
changed.
and I still can only do one pull up.
That's okay. I mean, but it's a commitment of what you're doing. Like I committed to that a year ago. I told you
Yeah.
that. Like the exercise thing was far greater than just the alcohol thing. It was literally
I've
about my
been
health and
exercising
where I
my
was
whole
going.
life.
Well, it's time for something new then. You got to challenge, like it's some new challenges.
Oh, pull-ups. No.
Oh yeah, pull-ups are the
No.
best.
No. I mean,
They're great for you.
I can do like inverted rows and push-ups and stuff, but my shoulders just hate me. They like some of you like comment on them, but they're not as strong as they look. I can promise you that. So, going into the 9 months, you've had some issues, and you've walked into a room and you're like, oh, I don't want to be here, kind of feeling.
Yeah. That's definitely happened a lot. That's been I've really understand a lot of things now that have gone very deep. Like I think it's important that we need to live around and work with people that are like-minded. I think
Hmm.
that's a very important thing. I don't think I used to really take that for granted. I think that when you're drinking and partying and not taking care of yourself, it kind of doesn't matter. You're kind of just living with a bunch of other sloths and you're all just kind of
Yeah.
walking through life together and it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But when you come to this place and you're at this level, you're like, I don't want to fail anymore at the things I'm doing. I want to succeed. I want to be around successful, driven, crazy
Yeah.
people that are even 100 times more successful than me. Because if I'm around that, then I'll be 50 times greater than I am right now, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I want to be around is winners, and not that's a personal definition as well. I'm not calling people losers or
Well,
I don't mean it that way.
Andy
What's that?
Frisella Andy Frisella would call people a loser. So
I know what you mean, but like I'm not
yeah.
like I'm not judging anybody for the things that
Right.
they're going through,
Yeah.
and like I would never do that.
But
Like
if you
I
want
can't.
better for your life and better for yourself, like you have to get your crap together.
No, you absolutely do, but I'm still defining it down to some simple things, and I think that that's what people don't really understand. Those three simple things: your mental health, your physical
Hmm.
health, and sleeping, right? And your nutrition. Like those things, they're all tied together. And
Yeah.
we've always heard that. I just didn't know how great that really was,
Hmm.
like until I've learned it. I didn't
Yeah.
know how great that really was.
I've always lived on an 80-20 rule, and apparently before last year it was like 20% of it was alcohol and 80% of it was good food.
Oh,
So,
I made the same excuses. I used to think, oh, look, I'm eating healthy, but I can drink on the weekend. It's
right?
fine.
Exactly.
It
How
doesn't
many of
matter.
us do that? Like, I mean,
That's something that people do, and you're not healthy. You're not. You
no.
think you're healthy. You're not even close to being healthy. The second, start adding it up. If you only drink on Friday, if you only drink, I can't believe I said that. If you only drank on Fridays and Saturdays, right, for example, that's 8 times a month. That and do that times a year, right? That's how
Yeah.
many times you're drinking. And then when you eliminate that from your life, and those days become yours, and you start doing other things with them, and plus the way it affects you during the week, there's
Hmm.
no hangovers, there's no bad feelings, you're not tired, you're not lost in your brain.
Yeah.
And it's like the incremental exponential math is something you can't even quantify it, is what I'm trying to say. There's no way. It's
Yeah.
like I would say you're getting 1% better every day, but that's not true. Sometimes you're getting 30% better in one day. Sometimes, when you add it up over a year, you've gotten 1,000 times better than where you were a year ago.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do that staying in the same state, doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's like you're caught in a wheel, is what I say. Like you're doing the same thing every year,
I'm
year
pretty
after
sure
year.
I'm pretty sure it was Critic. I don't know if you read my comments on YouTube, but Critic, I think he mentioned something about a hamster wheel.
Actually, he did, and I have
Okay.
read your comments, so I know exactly who you're talking about with that.
Yeah.
That's a great comment. Like it's
Yeah.
the absolute truth. I would totally
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yep.
You're caught in a hamster wheel, but go deeper, even go deeper with that. I would tell him the same thing, but go deeper with it. That
Hmm.
hamster wheel looks the same every year. Look at the way people do things.
Yeah.
They celebrate the same holidays the same way. They hang out in the same groups with everybody. They don't want to hang out with people, but they still do it. And this just keeps going on year after year. You stay in the same dead end job that you don't want to do, or live in some dead end place that you don't want to be in, and you just keep doing it year after year, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's what you and I we were talking about, that. Like this year, I'm not I'm gonna go do something different for Christmas this year. I don't think I'm gonna do it in the United States. I'm gonna go do something completely different that has nothing to do with Christmas and go celebrate it in a
Can you get
different
my
way.
husband on board for that? Because I'd love to go somewhere for the holidays. Just throwing that
I
out
just
there.
I'm doing everything this year with the intent of doing the opposite of what I would normally have done.
Well, I think that's like when we quit drinking, we realized that we can start our own traditions because our tradition isn't drinking anymore. Like, I've
True.
constantly been like, oh, what kind of party are we going to have? What kind of drink should we have? Like, it's just constantly like the tradition isn't the actual holiday, it was the drinking. Like, it gave us a reason to get shit faced and not care. But now it's like, oh, we can make our own traditions. We can go do something. We don't have to stick around and like drink and, you know, have it the way it always has been for the last, 37 years. I don't know. not really,
I,
but
I I'm just I'm telling you, I can remember back to, and then think about it this way. I'm not judging people, or what everybody's got their own situations. I don't mind hanging out with my family during Christmas. I'm not saying that per se, but I don't want to go. I don't want to hang out and just drink like we always
yeah,
used to. Like it's been a big
yeah.
thing in my family. Like, and I'm not saying everybody else has a problem. It's like
But
the
maybe
problem is
it's
me. But
maybe it's people like me and you that have to restart these traditions.
I want to do new things. I want to
Yeah,
do things that we haven't ever done before. I want to have new experiences and do them because you should do that all the time. I think that's what I'm learning too, is like my new tradition is no tradition. That's the traditions that I'm
ooh,
starting
I
to
like
do.
that one. I have
I'm
a
trying
friend
to
who,
do things I've never done before.
yeah, I have a friend that always goes somewhere for the holidays, whether it be Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever. And I'm like, gosh, that's so fun, like just to go somewhere. But
Definitely.
it was always too expensive to go anywhere because we had to plan our drinking budget.
It's really funny. We were I heard did I just hear you say you went to a water park this weekend?
Yeah.
That's what we did too.
Oh, yeah, that's where my phone
No, but
died.
but I'm saying we went to a water park this weekend and we realized something. Like we went and had a weekend and we acted like kids for this weekend, okay? And I
Oh,
haven't
fun.
done that in years, right? But here's the funny
Yeah.
part. We were laughing because we were like, a year ago we would have never done this because we were gonna be like, they didn't have any alcohol here. So like why would I go do that?
Well, actually, this water park last year just opened up a bar and grill that has alcohol. And so, last year I couldn't wait to get there to have a drink at the water park. But this year I'm like, oh, man, that's overrated.
I had the best time I've had since I was
Yeah.
a kid. I'm telling you, I climbed all these ladders up to these big water slides
Yeah.
and this wave pool and all this crazy stuff. And
Yeah.
I was like, I really missed out. I've missed out on a lot of just basic fun things that I could have done.
Yeah.
And instead of always thinking like I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating. A year ago, we would have snuck in a couple flasks and been like, oh, I'm
Same.
drinking either way. I don't care. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I think about how many times I did that with different events or different things, and now I don't even want to do those kind of. I don't even want to do the drinking events anymore that I used to do. I'm not interested. They don't have any. They
It's
don't
just
have
like a
any fun
big,
anymore.
big waste of time, really.
Yeah.
Like, because you're just so focused standing. Like, we went to Gary Allen a couple weeks ago and we grabbed 4 waters for like $8 within 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes. We walked to where we were going to sit, and there's two massive beer lines. And Jonathan's like, are you glad that we don't have to stand in those anymore? I mean, I'm telling you, I would be in those lines. Like, I would pound my beer and go back and waste the whole entire concert because I
Oh,
needed two
I
more
used to
beers. I
do the
needed,
same thing. I used to get two at a time, and like
yeah,
that's how we would do it. And then I
but it
would
still
already
wasn't
be
enough.
no, and then I was already planning on how was I going to go get the next one, like in
Yeah,
between, to see if I can make sure I don't miss the concert or the
yeah.
event
And
that
then
I
how
was at.
many times
Yeah.
did you have to go to the bathroom because you were drinking so
Oh my
much?
gosh, like over and over. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
All of this has been. I went to. That's another thing I did that I've done since I've talked to you last. I went to in June. I went to the CMA Fest. You know what that
oh,
is in Nashville?
fun. Yeah, I mean,
And
yeah.
we went and saw like the concert. We were there in the stadium, and like that's the first time I can remember actually watching a concert, and I was sober. Like, and I've worked around music, so I'm just telling you that. Like, think about that for a minute. Okay, what I just said. That means even when I was working, I was drinking. You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed just being at a concert and listening to music and watching like people, and just I had a good time. I really enjoyed it. It was a simple thing, but I really enjoyed it. And that's something that I haven't had, and I don't remember how long.
Yeah. No, and that's the same. Like, after that concert, I was like, you know what? We can go to another concert. So I booked another concert. My music is all over the place. We're going to Falling in Reverse in a couple of weeks. And I was like, we can do this. It's another like rockish concert. So our first concert was Godsmack, and
Oh, nice.
first sober concert was Godsmack. But yeah, so I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm done. I'm done like being like, oh, I don't think I can do it. It's like, no, I'm gonna go, and then like I will invite people to come with me. If they don't want to come, that's cool. If they do, then they can drive themselves, I guess. Because like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm all cool and like driving and stuff, but I don't. My biggest thing is I don't want to become like the natural DD babysitter because Megan doesn't drink. That's
No, I'm not. I refuse to be that person too. That I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not.
yeah,
I think that that's why it's been kind of a thing that has been. It's been transforming and changing the people around me too, because I haven't really been hanging out in groups of people that are doing that.
yeah.
So that hasn't even been a thing that's even been happening.
You
I.
mentioned that you like your social circle has definitely changed,
It's
and
it's not the same. It's so many different people that we don't hang out with anymore. I can't even quantify it right now. I mean, it's a lot of people.
yeah, it's
It's a,
crazy.
I don't relate to their lifestyle and the things that they're doing anymore, and I don't relate to the conversations because I've come to the realization I'm not judging when I say this, but there's not really conversations about anything. It's just a waste of like space and a waste of oxygen.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I wanted to go through a couple of these comments. Um,
Go ahead.
well, Vax says he really likes the daily walk videos. I need to bring some water. It looks like a desert. I do live in the desert, and I do bring water. Uh, no, those ones are pretty fun to do. Critic said 8 hours sleep, 8 hours work, and 8 hours recreation or having fun equals 24 hours. Yes,
I would
very
totally
true.
agree with that. Yep,
Yep.
100%.
I think Ed Might
That's
Let
really
even said
cool.
that one time. Like, yeah. Um, Vax. This is what my sister said. I'm like, talking to a drunk person was like talking to an extremely happy, severely brain damaged 3-year old. That's, oh, that's a
Yep.
good one. It's
I think I
pretty
was
true.
being nice when I said that a minute ago because yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. I think we were hanging out with some people and they were just drunk and I didn't understand what they were talking about, what they were saying. It was really bizarre to be around them. Just the conversation, I
Yeah.
was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, it's I mean, I think Jonathan would say that I would throw toddler tantrums when I was drinking sometimes. So,
I would say I probably did that as well. I guarantee I was guilty for that as well.
yep, gotta love those toddlers. Vax, always do sober what you said you do when you were drunk. That will teach you to keep your mouth shut. Oh my gosh, these are gold.
That's really good.
That's
I
some
gotta remember that one. That's
yes.
awesome.
Oh man. Ernest Hemingway. Uh so Taylor's recently sober also, and she's noticed that she's been on her phone more also, way too much YouTube watching.
Just been doing that. Well, I have to say I've definitely done the YouTube watching, so that's been happening.
Yeah.
I've been just putting it into and channeling into things I actually want to do though. Like that's what I've been doing with it. I haven't been doing it as like distraction stuff. I've been doing it as a means to learn and grow in the things I
Yeah.
want to do. So
I
that's
should
helped a
probably do
lot.
more of that. Yeah, I should
That's
probably.
what I was gonna say. Transfer your thinking of it instead of using as a means to distract yourself on things that don't matter. Channel it into what you want to learn about and keep
I
doing
think
it.
it's that ADHD brain. Like,
But it'll still help you with the ADHD brain. You can still have like 100 tabs open and still go through all of it. Just do it with stuff you're learning something.
100 tabs. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, Steve. Oh, oh. I was always the quiet drunk, even at the bar if I went. I wasn't always a loud drunk. Nah, I was
Ooh, I
not a
wish I could
quiet.
say that.
I
Yep,
was not a quiet
I wasn't
drunk.
quiet.
Everything was even more funny. Actually, I was laughing pretty hard at the Trey Kennedy comedy show the other night, and I was like, wow, like my abs like hurt. I was laughing so hard.
That's
And
good.
I had like tears in my eyes. I'm like, man, I don't think I've laughed this hard in like forever.
That's really positive. No, I haven't. I was not a quiet person. I think I'm more quiet now than what I was before
Yeah, I'm
in
definitely more
situations
quiet.
like that.
I'm definitely the one in the corner.
I've
Uh,
become more of an observer now than I
yes.
was before. So it's been fun.
I don't go up to everybody now and be like, hey, how's it going?
Oh, I know
Uh,
exactly.
uh, another one, the sober living thing is great, very active on a lot of things, helped a lot of people in the past, a better life. I found out after 10 years out of the bottle and walking through life without the booze. Yes.
I'd love to hear about their stories after doing it for that long. That's
He's,
really awesome.
yeah, well, he's been sober for 30 years.
Wow, that's got to
Yep.
be amazing.
People work at jobs they hate and buy things they don't need, all to impress people they don't like.
Oh,
That's
please.
so
Can you
true.
write that one? Can you like take a snapshot of that and send that
Oh
one
my
to me right there,
gosh. That
please?
is like gold. That's another like
That's one of the best things I've
absolutely
heard. I can't
amazing
wait to
one.
share that one. That is really, really good.
Oh my gosh.
That's really positive.
Yes. I mean, I think I've heard that before. I think my own husband's even said that. I mean, this is kind of like keeping up with the Joneses.
I think it's tied to I think it's tied to addiction more than I even realized too.
Oh,
Like that
yeah.
too. Think about it. Like even that comment about what you just said, like that's a really powerful statement.
Yeah, it's true. Uh, 11 months sober today. Hey, that is
Hey,
amazing. Almost a year.
congrats.
You've came a long ways.
Heck yeah.
I'd like to hear their story.
I'd like to hear their story too. Definitely for that. Because
Yeah.
they're 2 months ahead of me now.
I have three friends that have suffered debilitating strokes in their mid 40s. The only thing they all had in common was alcohol consumption. If you need motivation to quit, go see a stroke patient. That is terrifying.
Wow. That is very terrifying.
Like, my blood pressure was pretty high for a while, and I was like,
Same.
it's not because of the drinking. It's not. I'm so
I
stupid.
know I look red
Like,
like a tomato right now. It's not because of blood pressure, it's because I got burned yesterday going to a water park. That's what I'm saying. It's like
they
it was
create
out in the sun.
there's actually this thing called sunscreen.
No, I actually put some on. It's just that I wanted to get some sun too. I haven't been in the sun
Oh,
enough this year. It was really nice. I really enjoyed it. It'll turn colors in a couple days. It'll be okay.
that's how I am. I burn and then I instantly tan.
Yeah.
Uh, I so I don't. Somebody else commented today about losing people, brothers and a dad to alcoholism. Like I couldn't, especially like I couldn't even imagine seeing like having them have a stroke and then having to like you created your own like handicap.
Yeah, I mean, but look at I think that that's what we're seeing a lot of in our culture, more than we realize.
Yeah.
Like when you see people in those little carts or you see people that are severely overweight and those kind of things that we see, I think it's tied a lot to this, more than we realize.
And they don't want to tell us the truth.
No, not at all.
Hey, quit drinking or you're gonna have a stroke. I mean,
That's pretty
like,
strong advice right there.
right? It's terrifying because like I know several people with high blood pressure. I was one of them, and like a couple of my doctors were actually concerned, and I was like, no, it's normally like the 120 over 80. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just nervous. I was just playing the whole like naive card. Like it wasn't the
Totally.
alcohol. It was not the alcohol. But now I go in nervous, and I'm still like right around that normal range. So it's terrifying.
Totally. I think I was making a lot of excuses with a lot of things too, like
Yeah,
that. There's no doubt.
exactly. Like those excuses are I mean, yeah, you can make the excuses for the way you acted when you were drunk. You can make those excuses for like
Definitely.
everything and just blame it on the alcohol. It's easier that way, right?
Yep.
Not blaming it on yourself. I really
Well,
like
you
this.
blame everything on the outside, not the stuff that's on the inside that you need to look inside of. That's what it is.
Exactly. I think we were going over this. Recovery is not about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself.
Oh, that's nice. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I
And
would totally agree with that. 100%. That's what we were talking about earlier. That's what this is about.
yeah. And I think like the thing that I posted today was something about we're not oh man, now I'm at a loss. But it was something very similar to this. And we are creating ourselves. We are like we're finding who we are. Yeah. Like
We're
I'm
finding who we really are and not who we thought that we were. That was all conditions from other people,
yeah.
not from ourselves. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree with that.
Yep. And I really liked this one that I saw today from this book that I'm listening to. Recovery means getting out of the victim role. It means taking care of ourselves and focusing on our own lives.
Yep.
That's a good one.
I think that's what most people live in, and I think we were both probably guilty of that as well while we were doing this. You're the victim of everything, and
Yeah.
now you have to face everything and realize that there's no time to be that. You have to face exactly what's real and what's not, and you have to deal through it like that.
Yeah.
There is nobody you can blame anymore except for the person that you see in the mirror. That's it.
Exactly. I don't know if it was the video released today or not, but I think I talked about like, yeah, we have to look in the mirror and that's who like we have to blame for everything. Like we could sit
Definitely.
here and blame like our past, like growing up, everybody around us, but we're the ones that like we partaked in everything and we put ourselves in the situations.
Yep.
Very, very true. Oh, let me see. I got another one. Oh, yeah. Uh, and then the last one I really liked was we cannot change other people no matter how hard we try. The only person we can change is ourselves.
I was just having that conversation today. So I for so long I was saying it kind of like this. I always walked around having all this hope for people that were in my life, thinking that, oh, they're gonna figure it out, they've got this, they're gonna make it happen. But in reality, when someone's shown you exactly who they are, you have to accept that reality. And when you're
Yeah.
in the state that we're in now, you can see the truth of that. So you're only making it hard on yourself if you continue down a path with anybody who is demonstrating that to you. So if they're demonstrating themselves to be less than, then they're less than. It's not then, and they're not probably most likely going to figure it out until
Yeah.
they take a step to actually do that for themselves. And that's not something you're going to realize when that happens.
Yeah. And like the whole like you think you're better than me type mentality, it's like, no, I'm better than who I used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
That's really
I
good.
mean, I still got a lot of work to do, that's for sure. But I mean, it was a roller coaster of emotions, and I mean, I still have like to never.
I'm still dealing through stuff. I'm not going to deny it. Today was a hard day in certain other realms of my life today. But I'm still walking through it, and I'm still here, and I'm still in a positive place. I'm just going to breathe it out. That's what I have to do. It's going to be okay. That's the difference. I can actually see it now, and I'm allowing myself to feel those feelings now,
Hmm.
and not trying to run away from them or like tamper them down, because I mean that's what we're doing.
You still have to wake up the next day and face the same thing that you're
Exactly.
dealing
It's
with.
not going to go away. So yeah, you might as well face it and figure it out.
I mean, even those people that drink for decades, just masking what they don't want to deal with, like they're going to their grave dying because they're letting alcohol control them because
Yes.
they don't want to f- face what has made them drink, or not made them drink, but like, taken them
Well,
down this
it's
path.
the excuse that they've used to drink, and
Yeah.
it's because of those things. But the irony is that the things that you have to face are easier to face than the things that then tampering them away.
Yeah. I have a friend, she lost a kid when he was 10 months old. She could have every excuse in the book to drink her life away. I mean, I know that if something like that happened to me,
Definitely,
like,
definitely.
I mean, and then we have all these people that like had very, sorry, it's fly season around here. Um, like very traumatic growing up experiences, or like, and they just use it as an excuse. They just can't get over, like, they won't get over it. They won't put in the work to heal themselves.
I'm convinced that and this is just truth. It's hard to say this truth sometimes, but I'm convinced that like 90% of people are not going to ever change.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we're talking to the people that want to change and the ones that are already thinking about that and the ones that are taking those steps to do that and change their life because you're going to be so much better off for it. You really are.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to sit here and say that everything's going to be easy, but it's a lot easier to deal with your stuff than it is to ignore it. It really is.
Yeah. I like this one. The minute you don't have work to do is your time of death. Make the most of what we have. It's so true. Like, you're going to
Woo!
go, like, why not live a happier, healthier life instead of being miserable from what has made you miserable and then, like, covering it up with more miserable?
I mean, I've had the distinct experience, if you will, of watching a lot of people who have walked through life doing the things that they were told to do, and I've watched them all, every single one of them, die in the most awful,
Yeah.
miserable ways that you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And it was connected to them not facing who they were more than anything.
I mean, there's so many people that can do so much better for themselves, but I mean, yeah, it goes back to like they have to want it themselves, but then I think these people don't realize that there's so much more to life than a bottle.
There's so much more. There definitely is. You're missing out on so many other things that you didn't even know existed out there.
Yeah. I mean, and I know it's a disease. Like, I mean, well, some will argue that it's not, but I'm going back to this book. I'm reading Codependent No More, and she was an alcoholic, and she really she helped with Al-Anon, and like she has a whole story. But she said something about like if you don't get mad at or getting mad at somebody for coughing when they have pneumonia is like getting mad at somebody for drinking when they're an alcoholic. I'm like, oh,
That's an interesting way of taking it.
yeah. I
I,
was like,
I'm
I don't
I'm
know if
on the
I agree
I'm
with
kind of
that
on I'm on
fully.
the fence. I'm on the fence. I ever after walking through this and coming to the other side, I don't know if I agree that it's disease per se. I'm
Yeah,
kind of on the fence with that. I have to be honest with that.
yeah. Well, it's an
And
easy.
I definitely am not for the old methodologies that I've seen with people. I don't believe in the AA program, and I don't believe you should tell yourself every day that you are something if you're not that. I don't think that that's a language you should use of yourself. I think when
Yeah,
you've walked through something and you're not doing that anymore, that's the new person of who you are. You're not an old version of yourself, so you shouldn't be convincing yourself that.
yeah.
And I know there's people that'll argue against that too. So that's just
Well, I think
another,
there's
you
a.
know,
I mean, I think the community is very split on a disease or not a disease, AA or not AA. Like, I mean, everybody has their own opinion,
totally.
and um, I've never been to AA. I don't know. I mean, I know what I know, but that's about it.
I mean,
I
I'm
know it
still, I
helps.
guess I'm of the ilk. If it helps for people and that's what helps them, then I'm not going to take away from that. I just will speak for myself and say that's something that would never have helped me. That's not a path that I think would have worked.
To me, I'm have such bad social anxiety. I would have had to drink to go to them.
It's really funny.
I
That's
mean,
really funny.
I would not. I don't know. Like, I,
That's really
I just
funny.
like it. Just like makes me cringe just sitting around. Like, it takes me back to like high school or like elementary school where you had to sit in a circle and like share like what you were doing. Like now as an adult and we have to do that, I'm like, ew.
Like
I had to do this. I don't want
I
to do
don't
it
mind
anymore.
having a conversation like this, and I don't care how many people like hear it. So it's very different. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to have that conversation in a group setting like that either. I think it'd be very
Yeah.
uncomfortable. That's
Yeah.
what's odd about it. This is not uncomfortable. That would be uncomfortable.
Um, Here we go. Kenny, I've been to AA, relapsed 3 times. I'm sober without it now. See that those are the types
Nice.
of things I've heard is
Same. I
yeah,
heard that a lot in this, and that's why I'm saying that. I'm not saying from a place where I'm judging anyone. I'm just saying
yeah,
from a place of that's I've heard what he just said exactly.
yeah. And I think like it just depends on the person. Like again, it goes back to like not a one size fits all. And like if it works for somebody else, that's awesome. But Kenny, it obviously didn't work for him.
Obviously, and look, he was able to figure it out, and he's walking on the path now without it. So that's really positive.
Yeah. I'd really like to know like I mean, for a lot of us, it was our minds, or for like me and you, it was like our mindset. It was like switching to mocktails. And I mean, it's just been a journey. Like,
I mean, that's really all it's been. I'm
mm,
not gonna like tell you it's been that I did anything that was really hardcore or made any kind of big adjustment. I just started drinking a lot of bubbly water and a lot
yeah,
of mineral water and like drinking like making little mocktails. That's it. There was no other like surprises to it. I didn't fit, but because I still think it's the mindset. I still think it's
yeah,
what I plan. It's what I said I was going to do, and I stuck to it, and I did it one day at a time. And now it's so ingrained I don't even think about it anymore, really. I
yeah,
less every day I think about it a little bit less than what I used to. And I'm not saying think about drinking. I'm not talking about like I don't even think about not drinking either. Because you know how you kind of like flip it where you talk about being sober every day for a while too. It's like you go to the opposite of it a little bit too extreme. It's kind of been where I don't even discuss that anymore. I just kind of live in a different reality with it.
yeah. I mean, I mean, not drinking is like being here is my accountability. So you guys keep me
No,
awake.
totally, definitely.
But I mean, there's been days where I'm like, oh, what did somebody ask me the other day? Oh, doesn't this make you want to drink? And I was like, actually, that made my stomach hurt just thinking about it. Like, it just makes me gag wanting to. Gotta tell you, I rebelled against AA forever, and I still don't know if I agree, but I do find that if I'm in a tough spot, I can sign on to a Zoom AA meeting. It keeps me busy till the craving passes.
I think that's fair. That's what we were saying. Like, I think everybody's different,
Yeah.
It just we're all wired different. So there's
Yep.
there's definitely no judgment to that whatsoever. I get it.
I think everyone kind of needs to piece together the things that work for them for sure. Like, I know
Definitely.
what works for me, and it's not going to work for everybody. And I
No,
know,
not at all.
but I know what does work for all of us is once you quit, you don't take another sip of alcohol.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
that's just going to take you right back down to your train wreck. Like, I
And I
mean,
think that's the key that you have to remember is like if you go down that path again, just remember what you're doing. You're just going backwards again. You're going back to something that's not going to work.
yeah. And uh that's the biggest thing I tell, like, people get so far without drinking. Like, I've seen comments in here that they've gone like 7 years, 10 years, and they took a drink and they started drinking again. I'm like, oh
Oh,
my gosh.
why?
Like,
Why would you do that?
just to have to restart the whole entire thing again.
No way.
I I would be I mean, I know it's gonna happen. I know it happens to some people, but I've seen it enough to know that it's damaging to, even like, if you're switching from one alcohol and think that it's gonna like help you. If you switch from like hard A and you're gonna drink wine instead, you're still gonna have the same problem.
It's not going to change. I literally did that excuse before too. I thought, oh, if I drink wine, it's better for you, you know,
Red wine,
because it comes from
like,
grapes. It's what
yeah,
doctors say is
it
good
has
for you, right?
antioxidants in it.
It has
It's good for your,
antioxidants. It has
it's good,
vitamins.
it's good for your heart.
See the BS that we come up with, but our culture sells it too. Look at the
Yeah,
go on to the National Heart Association's website. Look at the crap that they endorse. It tells you everything. It's more about industry than it is about reality.
yeah. I mean, I know some people will argue that, especially those that are coming from the wine culture, but like, the thing, yeah, what we feed ourselves, or like, I'm not going to drink beer anymore. I'm just going to drink hard seltzers, or, oh, just the mess that,
I'm not saying again, I will still stick to this as what you and I've discussed before. I think that there's some people that can enjoy like a glass or two of wine and they can enjoy themselves and be that. I'm just not that person. So like
same.
I hats off to them. I don't judge anybody who's doing that. I've been able to be around people drinking now and it doesn't bother me. I don't care. It's just that I know I couldn't just do that.
It
And
actually
that's the
make
change.
it makes me cringe because I'm like, oh, you're gonna feel so awful.
Oh, I know.
Or
It's just like, but there's never, come on. Some of the worst hangovers I ever had were drinking wine. So anybody's gonna say that that's some antioxidant that's helping me is just, they're totally full of it.
those
There's, like,
sulfites.
it's not real. It's not
Yeah,
real.
no, it's gonna give you a massive headache. Oh my gosh. Just like, I'm glad that I've like learned how I feel on alcohol and how I don't want to feel.
Exactly.
That's what it sums up to be. Like, I don't want to ever feel that way again. I don't want to feel dumb the next morning. Like, what did I do? What did I say? How did I act? Like, I don't want to, like, I don't know. I just don't want to
No,
do it
not at all.
anymore.
And, isn't that a really cool thing too to realize that you can go out and you can remember everything that happened and exactly what you said too. Like you're
Yeah.
no longer like, oh God, what did I do last night?
Yep. You actually fully get to enjoy the night.
Exactly. Full immersion into it, right?
Right. All right. So, any other key things that you would love to tell the community to help them stay on track?
I still think it comes down to the kind of the three things that we were talking about before. I think it's about nutrition, I think it's about exercise, and I think it's about sleep. I think those three things will help you through so many other things that are going on, especially with the not drinking as well.
Yeah.
I think I did not realize, like I said to you, how important those three like pillars are if you were in your life. They're just that they are everything.
Yeah. I like, even if you're like having a craving for like a drink, then just go to sleep. Like,
Just
if
go
it's
to
at
sleep,
nighttime,
or
like if it's
drink some water. That's what I was gonna say.
yeah,
Drink some lemon water and just go
yeah,
to sleep. You'll sleep. You'll go. It'll happen. You won't even. You'll forget about it. It does happen like that.
yeah. And I mean, and that's like the thing. I would go to bed early because I was like, well, usually I'd be drinking right now, so I'm just gonna go to bed. That was in
Exactly.
the very
That's all you
beginning of,
have to do.
yeah, sleep key, and then you can sleep better.
Absolutely.
um, all right, here's our last one. That's a cool thing, making friends while helping people sober up. That is, yeah, I agree.
Definitely. Totally agree.
Yep. Well, Keith, thanks for coming on.
Thank you
And
so much
I,
for having me again. I really appreciate it.
yeah,
I've enjoyed talking with you. It's been
and I
great.
can't wait for your 1 year.
I know I'm getting close, right?
Right? So exciting. But hey guys, I will stay tuned for our next video coming out Wednesday, I think. And then Monday I will see you back here. Have a good night.
Thank you.